Hey YouTubers, we got a 1963 Willys Jeep and we are going to do four-wheel disc brakes on it. In this video we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to convert the drums to disc brakes, and it's pretty simple. All you have to do is find the parts, and there you go.
Alright, we're going to go ahead and start out by taking the bolts out on the hub, and I will go step by step through that just in case you get any of those pieces mixed up. Okay. Now this part here is going to take a special tool unless you can get it off with your fingers, which you usually can't, but sometimes you can if it wasn't put in tight enough. So I'm going to go ahead and get that tool and I'll be back. So what we have here is a little retainer almost, and it's got little tiny Allen screws that are in here that you're going to have to unscrew first, and then it'll allow you to twist that out right like this. So then take that out, keep all this stuff in order so you don't mess it up. Then there's a little clip that's going to pull out like that. Set that on top of that. Then there's a big nut back here behind that. And I'll have to grab my tool for that one, see if I can get that one off. So I got that nut loose, I'm going to go ahead and unscrew that. Set that on top of there. Now behind that's just the bearing, so you're going to be able to go ahead and wiggle this thing free. Got a little
What was that?
keeper. That's keyed too, so you want to make sure you get that going the right way. Now if this is hard to take out, it's going to be because your brakes are stuck on the inside. So you might have to loosen your brake pads up a little bit, or your shoes up a little bit, in order to get this completely loose and worked out. Alright, I'll go ahead and get this off and I'll let you see what it looks like after it's out. So this should just pull right off. Then there's going to be a seal right here, which shouldn't have stayed on here. It should have come off with the hub, but that's okay because I'll be replacing all this stuff anyway. So this will be coming off here, and then we're going to have 6 bolts right here. This whole assembly here will come right off. We got to undo the brake line, and once we get that off, then we'll be able to take a look at what we're working with to put this back together with disc brakes. Okay, so I got this popped off, and what we're going to need to do is take this where all the bearings ride on. That's going to come off of this plate, and then we're going to press that back on. Pressing is going to be used lightly because we don't really press it on. It's just going to kind of squish together. And so we'll put that on our other plate. We'll make sure all of our mating surfaces are clean, and then we're going to go ahead and put some RTV silicone around here, because this is supposed to be full of gear fluid, which it isn't, so I'm really glad I took this apart. But we'll fill this back up with gear fluid after we get that all cleaned up and resealed. And so I'll go ahead and show you once we start assembling this with the... So what we're going to do is we're going to put RTV silicone around that, and because we're going to keep fluid up inside of there. And once we go to put this back together and put the half-ton Chevy backing plate on, I'll go ahead and turn the camera back. Okay, so I finished the other side, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up the video where I left off. I got the drum off. Now what we need to do is we need to take the studs out of there so that we can get the hub free from that, and then we're going to put the rotor onto this after I clean that hub up. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to knock these all out. Okay. And remember, the rotor is going to go on the back side because the drum went on the back side. So we're going to go ahead and do that after I get this cleaned up. So I'm going to go ahead and put this rotor onto this hub now, and I'll show you how to do that. Just drop all these down in here. Then take a hammer, tap them down in so they hold, so when you flip it over you can suck them in together with a lug nut. Alright, go ahead and shut it off. I don't have my lug nuts. So what you want to do is once you get your studs through there, you want to put a couple washers down, and then you want to just use some acorn lug nuts, and you want to use that backwards so the acorn part is up, because otherwise it will crunch that acorn down. It'll be a pain in the butt to get off. Okay, so now that we got all the spindle off and everything, I'll show you what you need to grind on. If I can, there we go. That little square screw needs to come out, and there's gonna need to be some grinding done right above that. And then that bolt right there, and that bolt right there, all that metal between that, pretty much all that needs to come out. But I'll show you after I get it done what it's gonna look like. Alright, so this is what it's going to look like after you do all the grinding between that bolt and a little bit right there. Alright, so I went ahead and got the spindle mounted, and you're going to mount the spindle behind the new backing plate. And I'll give you all the dates and years and part numbers that I have for everything for this modification. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this hub back on. I got the bearing in there with a new seal. I'm going to go ahead and set that on and put the new bearing in behind it. Okay, so I got the outer bearing in. Then you're going to put that bushing there on. And then the next thing you're going to put on is that nut right there. And after that nut, then you're going to put that bushing there on. Then you're going to put this nut here on. And when you go to put this nut here on, what I do is I torque it down to 25 foot-pounds, back it off a corner, and then tighten it hand tight. But that's just what I usually do, so a lot of people do that stuff differently. Alright, so the one thing that you will have to do is you will have to grind off the rivet that holds on the squeaker, and then there's another rivet down here. You'll have to grind that off in order to get the clearance that you're going to need on the back side of the rotor. Otherwise it's going to be too close, and they're actually going to fit just a little snug already, but if you just drive it for 5-10 miles, then they'll wear down enough to where you'll get the proper clearances. It isn't going to fit tight, you can still turn it by hand, but it's going to be a little snug, just to let you know. The final step of the installation is going to be the brake line assembly, and that's a 1974 half-ton that I used on this one. Connects in down there, and then what I did up here is I just ran it up into the existing mount and then used a 5/8 fine thread nut and just put that on there. I put a locking washer underneath so it doesn't back out. Alright, so that is how you do a disc brake swap on the front end of a older style Jeep pickup. And be sure to subscribe. I'm going to have a lot more videos coming up. I'm actually going to be starting on the back right now for the four-wheel disc brake swap. I'm also going to be showing how to put in a Lincoln Town Car brake booster and master cylinder to accommodate all the disc brakes. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.